the social voter, hoping that it goes this time the way of FaZe. They did go head-to-head last time they played this map during, what was it, the Copa Elite 6 Stage 1, and during that best of 3, it was the second map, wasn't it? And Team One walked away 7-4 on that one.
Exactly. It is a opportunity for FaZe Clan to exact some revenge, but also I think that Team One is a team that so far throughout SI and through, of course, Stage 1, they have shown that even though they are a bunch of misfits all slapped together, they know how to play. And sorry, is that an Ash ban from FaZe?
I love it. You know, I love teams that can identify that there are clearly players that they have trouble with on the other team, and sometimes it just comes down to frags. And we're on a map like Coastline. It's a frag-heavy map. It's a map that you can get away with taking one of your favorite uppers with maybe your favorite weapon. If it's the R4C, G36, doesn't matter what it is. And you can kind of go, well, there's no point banning anything else. We know you're going to play this operator. We know you play it well. So let's get rid of it. And a Valkyrie ban as well, another super strong operator on this map. And when I say super strong, Ash isn't necessarily super strong, but in the hands of some players, and we saw what Joystick did on this very map the other day on Ash. Yeah, might as well get rid of it. Nothing crazy. Oh,
this is
Alamau.
Yeah.
Good night.
That's so unfortunate because Alamau is so good on the smoke, and
so
I think that Ash ban is targeted towards the player as well, KDS, who mains Ash, rather than the utility, because in some cases, you might see an Ash ban for utility, but I don't think Coastline is one of those maps. So yeah, this is really cool, isn't it, from FaZe? This is very unusual. Double bans specifically targeting players from Team One.
You know what? I hope Alamau just plays mute instead, because then he could just turn around and be like, nothing has changed. It just means I don't have smoke babes. I just have to play with the C4 instead. Speaking of the mute, there'll be a mute Mozzie combo by FaZe. Very popular on this map, very popular on Consulate as well. On those maps where you would expect that there are going to be quite a lot of kills based off those drones, and you want to be able to stump them as much as possible. FaZe will start off on the bottom floor kitchen site. And I was looking over that match. Mind you, it is the only Coastline match I have to go off of. So I have no other history that's even close since January. Maybe there's been others that I haven't been able to catch in my statistics. But I was looking at which site they prefer, and for the most part, FaZe do prefer the Billiards and Hookah as their predominant site, but they don't always fare too well on it, whereas they've fared a little bit better on Kitchen, but this is against the very same team that they've set these exact statistics on, so they're hoping to change that all up.
Attacker's objective is to defeat the
Yeah,
bomb.
for sure. Now looking at the FaZe guys, we've got Mozzie. And Mozzie was the operator that Team One banned against FaZe last time these guys played on Coastline. So clearly that was a counter ban previously by Team One. This time they've let it through. So I am going to keep my eye on Astro, and I do wonder, how impactful will that Mozzie pick be? Maybe it's specifically for the drone style. Maybe it's just because Astro feels really confident with the oNe. Hard to say at this point, but I'm just going to keep that in mind.
I'm looking to see exactly where Team One want to make their attack. It looks like they want top floor control, and if you're looking over to the side of Team One now, they don't have any breaching charges. They're going to be relying solely on Neskin, who had a pretty bad game last map, so he's hoping to redeem himself here. And I think it's always very dangerous not to have a redundancy plans for your vertical. If you're going for vertical control on a site like Kitchen, where you know for a fact that is your biggest strength when pushing it, and you only have the sledge to work with, maybe you could say that the impacts of the lifeline might work from KDS, but I still think it's very tough to rely on one operator not to get C forward. And as they've wasted about a minute and 10, minute 15 now, my wonder is, what is taking them so long from getting into Penthouse? What's taking them so long getting into VIP? Because the drones are only really zooming around now, and I think it's that mirror, maybe.
A bomb has been located.
There's a couple of things I feel like added together, because there's no one roaming right now in theater, right? There's a mirror window, there are mute jammers, Mozzie Pest, and Vigil roaming. But FaZe is just leaning into this information denial. Now, finally, Team One start to make their way in. Cyber cut off perfectly. What an excellent job from Team One to make sure Cyber does not get back to site alive.
There's a little bit of one little part of the barricade there that he was able to capture that one through. Souls didn't want to make his presence known either, and as a result, he's going to stay on White Stairs. I'm not sure if they know that that's where he is, because they would have been able to hear him. He's quite a a big, chunky operator that'll bounce around the map and make a lot of noise. So if you are one of those 3 armor players, you've got to be careful. You will get heard quite quickly. And only now do I really feel that Team One has any kind of vertical control. And I know that probably came down from the fact that I spoke about this mute Mozzie combo. It stopped them from being able to get the intel that it actually was clear. And that's the C4 I was afraid of before as well. Neska needs to be very careful. But I tell you what, James, they just left it too late.
Yeah, they might have one pick, but they don't have a lot of time, like you've said. And this executes can be very difficult. Is the position of Astro known as C4 seemingly shot out of the air, but Astro peeks anyway. KDS takes him down. This is a desperate last-second push in. Alamau finds him with the pistol. Cameraman taken down. Bullet, though, for the flank in a 1 versus 4. Not likely to make this work for FaZe. Round in the corner, can't deny the plan, and that is Team One desperately stealing a round away from FaZe right at the start.
Interestingly enough, I'm getting a bit of flavor that I felt that when we saw FaZe go up against Cloud9. And you and I, we sort of put it down to that we felt maybe FaZe had underestimated their opponent of Cloud9, thought that they might be a little bit of an easy pushover. They're going up against Team One now, who is not an easy pushover by any means. Last time they went head-to-head on this map, they lost. So they know how easy it is to lose to Team One, and in a rather dominating fashion as well. My problem is, why did they try and throw bodies at the problem? Why did they try and peek angles they knew were rather unwinnable from those particular instances and engagements? Very peculiar. They also had to set up upstairs, and okay, I get it. The attackers didn't really push it until late, so they wanted to rotate back down, but I don't know, where were the C4s? I mean, I heard one go off for the vertical. A lot of questions here for FaZe, and it troubles me that it's feeling like how I felt during the Cloud9 game, but we're only 1 round in, so there's still plenty of time to change that one around. And for Team One, well, they're going to walk away hoping they can get this win because they didn't get it last game.
Yeah, with how slowly Team One played that execute, if I'm FaZe, there's one thing that I want. There's one little ingredient that I want in my lineup to punish that late execute. It's smoke. How nice would it be to have smoke, right? Well, you can't, unfortunately, when you ban it to try and counter Alamau on the opposing team. But, of course, those bans work both ways. If you ban the smoke to counter your opponent, you've also got to play without it. And FaZe really struggled there, but yeah, believe it or not. FaZe really struggled, because honestly, like, all FaZe needed to do was just, like, deny that plant for 5 seconds, and then that probably would have been a FaZe win. Absolutely.
Time was in the hands of FaZe there as their 6th teammate, and it was going to be one of their most clutch teammates there in that round, but they let it slip. And as a result now, Team One will be looking to repeat that, but this time over towards Hookah and Billiards, one of their most preferred sites. And I am looking over towards the Team One and how they usually like to play on Coastline. Again, I don't have a lot of stats on it. Oh, that's an aggressive run out. You're going to get punished. No. Yeah, absolutely put to sleep. Souls, his soul left his body after that one, and I don't think he was quite a fast enough operator to achieve that, as recently the run-out rules have changed. Are you out for like 1 second and you've been spotted already? And when you're a slow operator, that just ain't the ticket.
Yeah, nice shot though from KDS as well. It's quite hard to land those, when you're on rappel and you have to kind of look behind you and down. Oh, I love that. I was going to make a comment about KDS not playing the Ash. Seems to be perfectly content on the Zephyr. That's fair enough.
Can't be a one-man show there, James. Or one operator show.
Yeah, nice to have a little bit of diversity here as KDS starts to make his way on forward. C4 rings out, but no good info there. A bit premature. Alamau starting to set up as well, but FaZe seem to be happy to sit on site for now. But Team One's made some really good progress through this round.
That's a great grenade. Unfortunately, it bounces a little bit too far. Not sure if that ADS was disabled or not, but a go-go shield right next to a player who's stuck in an unmovable situation like that would be absolutely deadly. It's going to be Cameraman who's sitting there, and if that shield does pop around him, that would surely cause his death as well as the explosion radius. And it looks like FaZe now, they're just trying to tick down the clock yet again. And for Team One, they need to speed things up again, but we've seen them do some really good things in the late parts of the round. So it doesn't seem to phase them that, pun intended, it doesn't seem to phase them that they need to take quite a bit longer to suss out exactly what they need to do here.
Measure twice, cut once seems to be the methodology for Team One, but a player from FaZe did actually manage to sneak into Sunrise. Plans going down right now, actually. Denied, as Levy does somehow refrag, but, oh, that's a good C4. Astro in a great position, sees the body with some shot onto it, and oh, hello! That's a big peek from Lagonas. C4 goes out again. Team One, the clock is their enemy. Neskin trying desperately to make something work on the hookah side, but FaZe, all they have to do is hold on and deny this plant. They can't do it. Team One, Levy, that is a big 2K, and they take 2 rounds in a row.
That wasn't his intended target there, that Mute, who unfortunately shot in front. And when you've got an ARX in hand, you don't have a lot of bullets to work with there. So he's probably pretty thankful that both of the players lined up there. Otherwise, he'd have to pull out the pistol and try and make that one work. But nevertheless, close end of the round, a late end of the round, but something that Team One seemingly are going to walk away with round after round unless FaZe change something up. My worry is, how do I put this? I feel like they've got some players that want to commit to aggression and then other players who don't necessarily want to commit to that aggression. And maybe there's a bit of disjointed understanding as to what the play style they want to commit here on Coastline is. Because from Team One, you're right, they've been sort of, working out what they want to do for most of the round and then they commit to it. Seems to have worked twice now. For FaZe, I'm wondering what that identity on Coastline is going to be.
And it really does feel like a hair's breadth between FaZe denying those plans and hence winning them, or not being able to. Like, that's 2 rounds in a row where Team One, they got the early man advantage, right? So when it came to that execute, it was a 5v4, but still that timer was against them. And honestly, quite impressive that Levy managed to cover his defuse planter and win that round. I feel like
5 seconds to go.
we are just so close to FaZe winning these rounds.
Yes, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with you because there's been multiple times where even one of the FaZe players in the dying seconds of the round, think back to first round, was literally shooting the diffuser planter and died before they could get the DB&O. I mean, at that point, you're just too close to home. Team One is winning by the skin of their teeth here, and that's not a confident way to win rounds, but I can't deny that they are winning them. They're still getting them. There's no wrong way if you're getting them. And I think that's a hard thing to admit as an analyst and an ex-coach who wants the best win conditions for their players as you can get. You're not always going to get them, but if you get those rounds, that's all that matters. Good yellow ping for Alamau here, who's on the IQ. Not going to be any of those Valkyrie camps as Valkyrie was banned. You can look to the top of your screen to confirm that. And as his players will give him the yellow pings, Astro is hoping a little nice quick pick with the oNe will net him a nice headshot onto Alamau. And that would be a really good pick because he's been such an impactful player throughout this tournament.
Alamau has been kind of the highlight player. If I was to point out to one person that we didn't necessarily expect to pop off, well, I mean, maybe Ace did, but I certainly didn't rate Alamau as like a top contender in the tournament, it would be him. But hello, goodbye, says Cyber to KDS on that run out. Almost caught off by Alamau, but this is the first time FaZe have found the opening pick.
Cyber's so lucky, and the rotate's brilliant as well. If he has his gadget on, though, I believe Alamau will be able to spot him out. Remember, it does spot any electronic gadgets, and that's what his does when it masks his ability to be seen on drones. Big thing for me, though, is that he could even just stay underneath with an impact and cause a ruckus. Drones first, please, Alamau. You still have 1 left to go, and Astro will punish you for that. Ironic that it's the Mozzie to take him out as he had 1 still in pocket. This is a much better round from FaZe here. They've got a 2-man advantage, James, and they're starting to rip the roof in record time.
Levy's actually keen to make a play here. Risky now as Team One are on the back foot. It does not work out. Cameraman lucky to be alive with that nade, but he still holds down on the bomb site. 2 players from FaZe low HP, so Cameraman doesn't commit to the peak, nor does Cyber. Team One have a lot of work to do here. That's a good pick to finally bring 1 back, but this is still a 2 versus 4 and still a grim position for Team One. Shots ring out. Souls lands a bit of damage, but Not the kill as of yet, 20 seconds to go. Team One looking desperate. As they start to make their way in, it's just Neskin left. He's cleaned up by Astro, and FaZe find their first round of the map.
Much better showing from FaZe that round. A couple of opening kills that really leveraged that man advantage. And what I liked even more is that once Cyber had gotten that kill and he rotated down, he made himself a nuisance somewhere else in the map, Astro was able to hold on to Aqua. Whilst I don't necessarily agree that 1v1s are the answer, they are now putting themselves in positions that aren't being abused by Team One with the live droning, with the hot droning. So what they're doing is, yes, okay, they've got the Mozzie, they've got the mute, they're trying to stop all of these drones, but they're also shooting them, repositioning, and then using that to their strength. That is a team that understands that on Coastline, you're going to have to take the gunfight. Unfortunately, you got this big rectangle with an open area in the middle, and attackers can sit on the roof. So you're going to have to take an engagement at some point. Repositioning yourself to a really strong position after being droned is what can give you the leg up, and that's what I found FaZe did in that round.
And the flip side of that is Team One, early in the round, remember, Astro was spotted in Sunrise, and the drone was on him for a really long time. Alamau was trying to drone for himself, but didn't really want to commit to that peak. Fair enough. You're going against Astro with a 1.5 times on the But it did remind me a little bit of the quote from Joystick when he was talking about why Empire struggled so much in stage one. And he said, we used to be a team that would drone a player and then push him and then commit. And then we started to become a team that would drone, second-guess ourselves, drone again, second-guess ourselves, drone again, and we would drone so many times, we would never actually commit to a push. And that's kind of what we just saw from Team One.
Well, now we're on to our fourth round, and I think for me right now, this is where FaZe gets a little bit activated. For all those FaZe fans in chat, get a FaZe up in there, because this is where they can really shift the tides, turn the momentum into their own hands. And that's not to say by any means that defensive half should be the one that they do the best on. And I was looking at a couple of the stats, not a good sample size here to work with, but they are pretty even on their output for attacking and defending rounds. I'd have to go back further to be really confident on that statement. But at least against Team One, they've shown that they can get attacking rounds and they can get defending, even if that puts them in a losing position. So for now, one more round, even Steven. And Team One, they're just trying to navigate all of these different new jammers, all of these different pests. Absolute nuisance to them.
Yeah, the info denial is really good from FaZe. That Vigil, we're spectating so many Team One drones, right? And there's another taken down, 5 left across the board. And there's the first pick. It's Alamau going down, not having a good game. This is the player that we had highlighted so much, the player who aced against G2, dropped 20 kills.
Yep.
And just not showing up in the server now, and that's another untraded kill here.
Got to move as a squad here if you want to be the best team. If you want to be Team One, literally, you need to have a little bit more coordination here, and Team One is stagnating out as a result. They've lost one of their biggest gun power. I'm looking for the word. We've got to give him a name. I mean, we've got Cyborg for Joystick, and we've got a couple of names for a few other players. I just feel like Alamau, he needs his own name. He needs something that really sticks, because he's been an absolute animal throughout this particular tournament. Has been extraordinarily impressive. Good C4, that'll rain up, that collects. Good night, Neskin, as cameraman. He takes all the photos he needs and walks away. The nasty little kill there to give yet another couple of kills advantage here to FaZe. Cyber needs to be careful though. This position will wash away very quickly, and with a shotgun in hand, that is the worst range for that.
Yeah, difficult position for him, but cameraman's done some good work on the Cool Vibe stairs. That's his third on the round. He might well retake here. Astro was to pinch, but didn't make it work. Cyber somehow still wins that and wins the diffuser along with it. Just Levy left here in a 1 versus 4. And cameraman's hungry for the 4K. He gets it. FaZe Clan have made the comeback happen, 2 rounds apiece.
You missed a really good opportunity there that he caught him in 4K. You know what I'm saying? Because he's his cameraman.
That is so good, Jess.
I know. I just thought of
that
it.
is so good.
Even when I'm like
can't
literally so sick, I think of the sickest things. I'm just saying.
Oh my God, that is actually you shouldn't have said it right now.
I know. I should have held it. I couldn't.
You should have held on to it.
It's too late. It's out in the air now.
Just forget the last minute of us speaking. Pretend that you didn't hear that, and we'll use it later as if we had never said it.
He's got to get a 4K again.
He's got to. I mean, cameraman, come on, you got to deliver now.
All for James's need to have one of the best one-liners. Oh, brilliant.
Oh, my.
Oh, speaking of though, 4th round, all done and dusted. On to the 5th.
Yeah, at this point, FaZe kind of had that momentum back on their side. They just found 2 rounds back to back. Team 1 started looking pretty lost on their attacks, all things considered. Remember the first 2 rounds, they had those super late executes where we were saying, oh, you know, it was a hair's breadth away from FaZe winning them. Yeah, well, then FaZe started to play a little bit more proactively. They found those opening picks. I love the initiative from cameraman to use that C4 up the stairs as well.
Yeah.
I feel like FaZe is just starting to take the fight a little bit more to Team 1, not letting them set up for those executes.
Well, they've given Team 1 a lot of the map, and it's good that they have an answer for it, but as we're getting into some of the last rounds of the first half, FaZe will want to capitalize on as many defensive rounds as possible. We have a bunch of stats that we can go over for both, you know, the Copa Elite and the normal regular season for the Brazilian, and they've played a few coastlines. It's not like they haven't, but it's only ever so slightly in the regular season a defensive-sided map. And then you look over to the Copa Elite and how it fared there, and it was a little bit more defensive-sided. So if we were to chuck those together, and on average, it would be technically a defensive-sided map for the Brazilian region. And I think that's something that FaZe will want to capitalize on before they go into their attacking half.
A bomb has been located.
Keep an eye on this pulse in the late round. Might be able to deal some damage, but for now, Team 1 taking map control, which is something that they've been doing consistently, taking control, taking their time, and I'm not confident in that slow, methodical playstyle working well for Team 1. They tend to operate a lot better when they find those opening picks and isolate these players. Rather than just focusing on map control, you know, you can just focus on players instead.
Alrighty. For me right now, I'm worried about the pulse because they've droned him out. Cyber had a really good round on the Vigil, but now he's got one of the worst weapons in the game. And it'll laser ahead straight off a player's shoulders, but that requires quite a bit of accuracy and the positioning to do so. He's in a really bad spot here. No one's on the hatch to be able to assist him, but they've given up on pushing him just yet. They just want him to peek them as someone sits out on the railing and drones him. It's Levy. I'm not surprised the man himself, who's meant to be that flex flank hold, is the one that wants to engage and hold on to him. He'll likely push him late or get gifted with a few shots and putting him down to 5 HP. Cyber's in a predicament here because Levy will push him when the plant goes down, but Bullet, he wants a bit of Neskin first.
And he gets it too, gobbles him right up. 40 seconds left. We are once again slow on the timer. Nice use of the Twitch drone to disable that Banshee. 33 seconds to go. Breach on the drinks wall. Cameraman getting aggressive. Can he actually find something here? It looks like he might do. And FaZe have suddenly turned up the heat. Lagonis looking for one chance to try and get back into this, and somehow he's making it work with Levy downstairs to finish off what was left of Cyber, but he's alone. In a 1 versus 3, no time left to do anything. Caught on camera, and FaZe Clan do finish him off. They are well and truly on the comeback train, 3 in a row.
What a shame for Levy there, because let's be honest, I was hyping that storyline from the beginning. I was like, all right, Levy's going to push the pulse below late round. As the player goes, it's going to be the perfect counter to having a pulse below. That's how you play it. And then FaZe like, pew, 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 pew. And I was like, all right, there goes my storyline down the drain. But that's okay, because for the FaZe fans out there who are looking at one of the most experienced players in all of the Latin American region inside of Cameraman, that is a brilliant day for him so far, at least in this matchup.
Yeah, honestly, had such a good day. And, you know, it's a funny story with cameraman. This is his year joining back onto FaZe. You know, his debut season, rejoining his old-time team, I guess, organization. As he did go over to MIBR, where Cyber, Souls, and Bullet he played with. And, of course, Astro was on the old FaZe roster. Then, start of this year, FaZe dumped their old roster, kept Astro, picked up the MIBR roster. And that's these guys. And obviously it reunited Astro and Astro and Cameraman, long-time teammates and long-time on FaZe. In fact, two of the only players at Six Invitational, I said this the other day, who have played every single Six Invitational.
Yeah.
Which I
Unreal.
Really cool. It's such a nice little stat to say, well, yeah, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and now 2021, this is their 5th Invitational.
Not a lot of players will ever get to say that in their career. A lot of players don't even get to go to the Sixth Invitational, let alone have that kind of experience behind them. So we have some insanely experienced legends in our lobby right now. And I want to make a really cringe joke again before James about how he sold his souls to go to MIBR, but you know what? It just too little too late now.
You tried.
Thank you.
You tried. I don't know, this is a flip of the switch. Usually I make the bad jokes and you laugh at me. Not with me, at me.
Very true.
But let's have a look at Team 1 because let's be real, they need to get back into this game. A 3-3 half would honestly be par for the course here for attack, maybe a 4-2 on attack. Coastline these days has been a bit less predictable, but I think inherently it tends to be an attacker-sided map. And they've got to deal with FaZe. They've got to deal with, once again, this information denial roam. And this is an aggressive play from Cyber into Guitar. Looks for a kill, backs on away, and he is caught with his pants down.
Well, thank God he was in the bedroom when he's caught with his pants down. I don't know what kind of reference I'm trying to make there, but I'll find a connection. I'll find a connection eventually. Biggest thing for me was that you knew that there was at least 2 players dropping from that hatch. How running in front of possible multiple lines of sight was appropriate is beyond me, but Cyber, he must have felt that he needed to make a move. He, I believe, is the only player behind that mirror window in theater as well, so he gave up so much utility. It was a mute jammer, it was an entire mirror, and of course, if you're thinking about the fact that there's a player standing behind it now, gone, done and dusted, not able to waste the time that he was looking for. And when cameraman runs out of battery and is dispatched of, we're now in a deficit for FaZe, who've had the past couple of rounds really Gucci for them so far.
Oh, there's info here on Bullet. He might not know it, but the jig is up. Astro has been holding down on site for such a long time, but he hasn't fallen yet to this vertical play. Team 1 in a 5v3. This is the best chance they have had. They're looking to further that. Astro forced back into the corner and taken down. Alamau stepping up finally, making his presence known in the server. A long C4 does not make its target. Another long C4 does not make its target. Alamau seems unaware that Bullet is on for the flank, but it'll have to be the flank of his life as Bullet and Souls desperately try to retake this. Bullet takes down Alamau, and that does make this somewhat more winnable, but what a difficult post-plant they find themselves in against 4 Team 1 players with that diffuser all the way out near the door, and KDS can take down one. Last round of the half is for Team 1 as they even our match 3 rounds apiece.
Not a bad half there from both teams. I saw a couple of good rounds from Team 1, and then, of course, a couple of good rounds there from FaZe, who were able to get the first couple of opening picks, which just really propels you into a really good position. There are some teams that, you know, put the pedal to the metal and don't take their foot off the accelerator and start throwing bodies at their opponents, rather, when they get a man or 2 advantage. But I like that FaZe, when they had that man advantage, they sort of crept back to site, played the objective, and it really worked well for them. And Team 1 seemingly able to recollect themselves when times are tough, and they'll get an opportunity now to show how well they can keep themselves cool, calm and collected, as they will have to be dancing around all of the bullets of the attackers, because let's be honest, Coastline is that way, and it's going to be more that way as there will be smokes popping in front of them. They must have known this, because Alamau brought the one without a 6 pick, and Glaz was 6 picked into, so they knew this was coming.
That's really, really, I mean, I personally have not watched enough of FaZe on this map to know whether the Glaz is a staple, but for whatever reason, Team One is aware, whether it's because they've played them before, or whether it's for whatever reason, VOD reviews, etc. And that's really cool, the fact that both of these teams, well, FaZe Clan hit it, and Alamau still 6-picked it, so very nice. That could be the answer to this Glaz push. We'll have to wait and see at the end of this action phase, but I just want to touch on for a minute where these teams currently sit in the standings in Group A. Team One in 4th place, 4 wins and 3 losses. FaZe Clan have actually played 1 less match than Team One has, and they're currently sitting in 5th place at 3 wins and 3 losses. So currently, as it stands, if we just went straight to playoffs today, before playing this match, Team One would be in the upper bracket and hence have 2 lives through the double elimination, and FaZe would be seated into the lower bracket and not get a second chance. They lose once and they are out. So this is such a big game, especially for FaZe, because they are fighting from that deficit, because Team One are sitting just above them.
Oh, the reason I gasped there is that is a huge pick from that Twitch drone there onto the Evil Eye. An absolute brilliant bit of that utility usage, because let's be honest, they have been plagued by the fact that they've been mute jammers, and do they want a little execute here, or is this just for some sneaky picks? Oh no, they want that bomb down now.
Window plan. They're planning one on the window. Who does that? Alamau's the warden. He was meant to best the Glaz, but the Glaz bests him back. Neskin, okay, FaZe just clean up. Neskin, the last one left for Team One. A flawless round on the back of a Glaz execute.
I'm a little bit lost for words, because this feels like the days when I used to play comp. And I was doing like CL quals, 2017, 2018, wasn't I? And then I was the Glaz main for my team back when you would take Glaz, Monty, you would pop like 100 smokes and you would just absolutely obliterate your opponents as best you could. That, to me, was like a huge throwback and an unbelievable ode to the experience that we were talking about before of some of these players who used to play well before I even started playing comp, that's for sure. So for me, I'm sitting here just smiling, you know, ear to ear, because that was just incredible. It just goes to show that no meta really, really dies out, you can make anything work.
To locate and defuse as many bombs as they
Yeah,
can.
it's such a cool strategy that FaZe have devised there. And look, honestly, it's probably not a strategy we will ever see from them again. Like,
No,
it can just be a one and done, right?
No.
Like, because the key to that for FaZe was the fact that they managed to have a plan spot that Team One couldn't predict. And it was right underneath that window. If Team One were aware, then they might have pre-fired through the smoke. They might have C4 or whatever, but they didn't have info. And you actually mentioned the Twitch drone taking down the Evil Eye early on. Now, that was the one in Bunga. I don't know whether there was one watching billiards, but if there was...
It does,
that
with the rotate. It would have seen the exact plant spot, yeah.
There you go. So, right from the prep phase, that Twitch drone taking out that Evil Eye, that was literally just step 1 of FaZe's strategy. Talk about Twitch drones! My God! Bullet, you are getting your bang for your buck out of those little buggers, and you have made it work. Astro's making a play, almost wins it somehow, but Alamo shuts him down.
So many explosive plays, whether it's the canister on the mirror being exploded or a Amaru shooting through security, kills left, right, and center. It is blue, orange on the top of your screen, but Neskin wants to make it just orange at this point. And this is sort of the calm after the storm. Hate to put it this way, ladies and gentlemen, but there was a plant attempted throughout all of that chaos, but it did get denied. Neskin was above. He had the perfect angle for it. Barbed wire would have given him the full indication. And now they can slow down, get this second mirror, which Bullet will be gifted with, but Lagonis, he won't really care about it. At this point, they have huge numbers advantage, and whilst there was an impressive bit of gameplay on attack last round from FaZe, this one begs a few questions.
These pocket strats, sometimes they work and they look amazing like they did just last round, but sometimes they fall flat on their faces. And sometimes we get to a point like this where FaZe have just lost the majority of their push. They only have 2 players left, and that's a nice pick. Very well coordinated there to bait Alamau with that first shot through the window, but Levy takes down Cyber, so it's looking pretty difficult for Bullet. And like this pocket strat straight up didn't work, and struggling to recompose after that deficit. I just don't see this working for Bullet.
Never say never, James. Always hype the underdog. We did it with CAG and they managed to best Team 1. And now Team 1, they might be bested by Bullet. Yo, never say never, James. I'm going to say it again. He has just under a minute to work with here. That is plenty of time to make this a clutch of the day. And he's only got Levy and Lagonis to go through. They both have vectors in hands, and they are much better in short range than they are long range. Not a lot of recoil on them, though. And if they keep their distance and don't try and engage, they might be able to play the time on this one.
Smoke goes out, denies the line of sight. Levy, though, waiting for the audio cue, knows plant's not going down. Bullet starts to rotate, goes over to lobby. No mirror window facing him, that is open. But Lagonis on the other side, clued in. This will have to be a hell of a shot from Bullet, but Lagonis puts the bullet straight back in his brain. And Team 1 finally stopped that bleeding and even us back up to 4 apiece.
It almost seemed like Team 1 were hemorrhaging then and they were unable to stop it. But that's okay. We love a good clutch attempt, but 1vx situation gets the heart pumping. And now we're even Steven. Again, an opportunity now for one of these teams to take momentum. Speaking of momentum, Astro is deciding that Amaru is the momentum he wants. He wants 100 kilometers per hour into whatever the closest window he can get. It almost worked for him. Let's be honest, Alamau was down to like 10, 15 HP, but he's just going to flash it. He's going to flash it, pick over to the ace instead, and Alamau's going to do the same in response. Get rid of the alibi, bring the warden, and I like that because it's not that I believe FaZe is always using smokes to cloud their pushes and their executes. I also think they're using it to block lines of sight, and I do think that that can be manipulated like a player like Warden to be able to get a free kill as a result.
Yeah, even without the Glaz, you look at this lineup and there's 2 sets of smokes. Twitch and Jackal have smokes these days.
Yep.
So I totally agree with you. I think that's a good pick. Also, just the fact that we're going back to hookah, which was where FaZe pulled off that crazy Glaz strategy with the plant on big window. Obviously, they're not going to go for that again, but Team 1 want to be prepared just in case. Because, of course, that Glaz could be a 6 pick. They don't know. Even though Alamau wasn't super effective against the Glaz last time with the smart glasses. I'm curious now, though, Jess, because we haven't actually seen a strat, an attack from FaZe that was not like a pocket strat. We haven't seen just a normal kind of standard attack.
Souls wants in. I mean, pre-place drone, absolutely. He knows it's clear. He can take it for free, and that's a really swift move on in. But Team 1 seemingly are still setting on up, trying to get some of those holes open up with the shotgun. My big problem, and you are right, is that they do thrive off of some of these unpredictable, smoke-based, randomized, unpredictable plays. How many of them do you have in your strat book? How many of them can you keep rolling through before it gets a little bit into the unknown territory? I do think that Team 1, or rather FaZe in their wholeheartedness, have prepped so many things on so many different maps. You were the very one who decided that you would hype them on Cafe for their incredible Cap Tower plays on attack. They were incredible. Incredible is the right word. You're not wrong. I just do wonder how much depth, how long is a piece of string? I think FaZe are yet to answer that one.
Yeah, if there is a pattern we're seeing from FaZe, it's that they have some really cool ideas, but do they have the fundamentals? Okay, that was some good util usage. We are seeing so much util right now. Shield.
Oh my god,
they're
faking it.
Is this... Where's the plan?
Hookah. They want to push hookah, but they're baiting that they're going to do the billiards table one. This is such a brilliant use of utility, the bait and switch, that Maestro is going to be the only one in a position to be able to counter this. No C4 below either. Lagonis, he's just dropped, I believe, but he's going to have to rotate over, and there's Cyber waiting for him. He's going to be able to collect him. What a beautiful setup from FaZe.
But Alamau holding the line. Neskin finds the first pick onto Bullet, and Team 1 start to clean up. Alamau the long shot as well. That diffuser is cold on the ground. Looks like Team 1 might have this one in the bag as cameraman. He might have a lot of kills to his name, but he's going to have to do a lot in this round to bring it back. A 5 versus 2 for Team 1. FaZe looking a bit stumped as how to play this. 40 seconds left. Cameraman tempted to make a rotate, but this execute fell to pieces, and now they've got to pick it up and put it back together. Souls knows that diffuser is within an arm's reach, but he has to cross so many lines of sight to get in there. Pre-fire one way, taken out by Alamau on the long angle. It ends up as a flawless round for Team 1 as they build this momentum and take the lead.
Something I have to look, we're going to give the props to Team 1 there. They dealt with that situation appropriately. They didn't just try and throw bodies at a problem that they didn't have full intel about. Props to them. But just because that didn't work doesn't mean it wasn't brilliant from start to finish there. FaZe missed that short window of opportunity. From the moment that they baited, it would be double window, to the moment that they smoked the rotate. That's when they should have entered and tried to get the plant down. They missed that, I think it was about a 7-second window of opportunity there, which, you know, ironically enough, is how long it takes to get the plant down. Had they have entered and got the plant off there, they would have won. Or rather, that would have been a successful objective plan and the retake would have ensued. That's the problem with FaZe's pushing attack. Some of their strategies here is that they only leave a short window for a successful win condition. And if they miss it, if the train leaves without them, there's no second train to come get them.
Yeah, and at the moment, while FaZe have a really pretty ticket, they are just rocking up late. So I know I tried to continue that metaphor. I don't know if
that's all right. A pretty ticket. I want to know what a pretty ticket looks like.
I don't know. I guess like these days, you've just got like those little electronic tickets, kind of boring. You know, you just
that's true.
I want like an old school, like, you know, Willy Wonka golden ticket, but for that's what I want.
5 seconds to go.
It sounds like it costs a lot of money too.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Attacker's
you know,
objective is to
swag,
defuse a
all
bomb.
that.
Fancy. Gucci.
Yep. Gucci gang. Well, FaZe looking kind of lost here on their attacks. That was a nice, you know, execute in the first round with their Glaz, but since then they haven't found an attack round. And with how strong Team 1 were on their attacks, FaZe is going to have to keep pace here. I mean, cameraman, we've talked about him a bunch, and yeah, to highlight kills, he's pretty nuts at the moment. Found a lot of multi-kills and led him to a 12-6 scoreline, but FaZe as a whole need to show that there is tightness in their executions. It's having one idea is one thing, having cool ideas is one thing, but being actually able to execute it to perfection, but that's what wins you rounds.
Well, they definitely have some of the most intricate and innovative attacking strategies out of almost any team here at the 6 Invitational. So if you want to go back through this VOD later, and these VODs will be available straight after the 6 Invitational, so make sure you get them and absolutely rip through the perspective of every single player. Even get some good clips and make a montage of your favorite player. That's one you can add to the montage. Nice headshot and entry there onto Neskin. And this means office control is now firmly in the hands of FaZe. I do imagine, and just looking at them having those 2 smokes to play with on cameraman, that if they can smoke off the line of sight from lobby, they can get a reverse plan in. They only have to deal with, what have they got? 1 C4, 2 C4s? And then it will be the vertical control that they're lacking, and that'll be Levy. It'll be his job to sort of paint the picture from above beside Alamau.
Alamau's going to open up some vertical at the moment. Line of sight onto that default plant spot you mentioned. Bullet on the roof actually will deny a lot of mobility from the defenders, but he's really vulnerable as well if he gets too aggressive peeking. Alamau spotted by the pings. Minute left. How long will FaZe wait?
Good question here, because there's quite a lot of players still on the board. Neskin was the only one to drop earlier on, and this was my question. Do they smoke off that line of sight, or do they just watch it? Because this is an easy kill from the lobby player. Usually players will play it backwards, but it doesn't really matter, and he'll bait out the sound because he wants that C4. There's one. Gets gifted. Soul's also gifted. And as the window pops beside him, that's the last C4. They're all good to plant. But do they really need to, James? The man advantage is so great. The crossfires are perfect. And as Souls gets his double, it's all up to Alamau, who's done some incredible things with the SMG-11. but there's just too many players surrounding him from FaZe. And another good attack here from FaZe, albeit just the usual meta office push and plant.
Yeah, but it came down to the execution, and they dotted every I and crossed every T. How many times did we see FaZe bait out that plant? 2 C4s flew on out. Both
Brilliant.
air balls. And then we saw, of course, Soul's perfect cover. You said, are they going to use smokes, or are they just going to watch the angle to lobby? They watched it. They found a kill for it. That numbers advantage was furthered, and the util that Team 1 brought to the table to try and counter that plant, it fell to pieces. And here again, we're seeing the lack of the smoke, thanks to FaZe banning it, really affecting Team 1, right? You could have wasted so much more time as a defending squad if you had those gas babes. But instead, it came down to the smokes. So an easy bait gets rid of that utility, and FaZe find themselves here at what I like to call break point. The next team to win a round finds match point and guarantees at least overtime.
We love a good Latin American derby, and that's exactly what we've gotten here. There's a little Twitch drone hiding in the corner of bathroom there. They're not interested in the ADSs of Code. They're interested in the mirrors from Lagonis. That's what they want. One will go on the triple wall, and one will seemingly go on the wall that looks towards entrance as well. A couple of teams have possibly put one upstairs. Some like to put one in service. There's a few different mirror placements, but this is definitely the site where mirror reigns supreme on Coastline. There goes one. And if he just waits with that drone, surely he'll get gifted yet again. Bullet doesn't need to rush this. He'll get it at some point, some way.
Team 1 need to show some more substance on their defense. At least they've won kitchen service before, but that was when FaZe Clan went for that rush, tried to go for that Amaru. Things fell apart. Team 1 got that early man advantage. Not likely will it be gifted to them once again. But something we have seen is Bullet. His Twitch drones in sight. He gets a mirror window for free. He gets out for free. Oh, no, taken down. But he still has another drone, I believe, somewhere out in the field, which he might be able to use to take out that second mirror window.
That one unfortunately got destroyed earlier on. I did think he might be able to sneak it on in there. But hey, you got a 50% success rate in getting the windows. That's not too bad in any way, shape, or form. Someone call... I don't know where I'm going with this, but there's definitely a saying when a group of people start wandering in together quietly, like a group of ninjas here. It's not ninjas in pajamas that we have on our screen right now, but they definitely seemed like they were just going to crouch walk in together, hold hands and sort of kumbaya into the door and get a plant off. But no, they've thought better of it.
I think FaZe are old enough they don't have to sneak into the bar, but fair enough.
Oh, true.
Cameraman on the front line, bit of info from the Jackal scan. Not much vertical though from the attack.
Is this another execute early on? FaZe has some really good timings, and yes, they do flood the site, boys. The smokes are in play and no one can see you. Default plant, there's verticals there, and the Jaeger has no idea as Cyber will down him, and 60 seconds left on the clock. Souls, he's had multiple multi-kills now, and I just feel like Alamal's had to clutch multiple of these rounds. A bit of a shame because, well, that's a lot of pressure to put on the player, but he's living right up to it.
Well, he is 4-1. Neskin's also here to support, so this is not impossible, but Cameraman's in such a good position. He locks it out and puts FaZe Clan onto match point. This game has been back and forth, but finally victory is within their sights.
I want to know, and I don't speak Portuguese, so I just don't know for certain what is going on in their comms, and I would love to ask them one day, what is the win condition for them when they go for the execute? Let's say on that particular push right there, and as we have a tactical timeout on your screens, this gives us a little bit of an opportunity to break this down. Do they get a drone in? Do they see that there's no one on rotate? And that is enough for them to smoke off the feed holes and jump on in? Or is there more that goes to this? Is there, okay, I need to pressure upstairs because they've got verticals. Okay, check, I'm in a good position to do it. Okay, we need a drone here. We need someone on kitchen window. Okay, check. Do you have smokes in hands? Yes, I do. All right, let's all flood the site now and hope that it works. What goes on in the comms that I wish we could hear, I wish I could understand, because it is an unbelievably coordinated execute like that that makes FaZe one of the best attacking teams when things go right.
I don't know how much time they spend dry running, because it's
right?
perfection. Like these executes, it's like, you know, there are other games out there, other FPS titles where it's all about that execute. You line up your smoke, you go for it, and then that is it. And that's what everyone praises. And Rainbow Six, you know, we have executes, but it's usually about what you do in the first, you know, 2.5 minutes of the game. Every step of it, when it comes to map control, opening up breaches or utility, that's, you know, the really nerdy part. It's not usually that you have some crazy execute with specific smokes. Not really these days. But FaZe is kind of pioneering that playstyle, and it makes it really exciting to watch them, honestly. And when we watched them on Cafe the other day against BDS, I thought, hey, is this just a once-off? Is this just the way they play Cafe? But no, FaZe are trying to apply this same methodology to all kinds of maps. And it's such a breath of fresh air.
It's really exciting gameplay when FaZe gets on attack. And this is something that I will be watching, because no doubt, just looking at the standings, there's no possibility for them to get sent home. It's not like they're going to walk away and not make it to the playoffs, not make it to our best of 3 section of this tournament, where I truly do think that teams that can hack it on both halves from multiple maps in a row will walk away better off, which is why let's not forget FaZe is the best team in Latin America technically. When it comes down to stats recently, they're one of the best teams in Latin America, and they've obviously got that title for a reason. And I think it definitely comes down to a team that, whilst they might not do the best and they rely on a lot of aggression on their defense, their attacks are what make it for me. That is almost a freebie, and that would have been a good one too. That was the ace that would have denied the quad wall. But Astro, he'll get away with his life for now. This is it for Team 1, though. They need this round, or it's all over for this particular game.
Team 1 have already exceeded our expectations this tournament. We've seen some amazing stuff from them, and they're currently seated into the upper bracket of the playoffs. But FaZe may well take that from them. FaZe, at the moment, as it stands, seated into the lower bracket, which means they won't get any second chances in the BO3s. Whereas Team 1, they're holding on to that really dire extra life. And I think FaZe is very eager and very primed to take it from them. Is that to clear util, or is that actually to bait out some kind of a push?
They want C4s. Give me those C4s, but instead they get bullets right to the chest. Levy on the Maestro there, making it work. Last time they played this too passive, James, you've got to remember, they played this too passive, and whilst they did win it, and that was when they tried that hookah push rather than that billiards push, they could have been gifted so many times before, and we all know how this goes. Bullet is, I would love a statistic to know how many pieces of utility the Twitch players like Black Ray from Cyclops and Bullet here from FaZe, how much utility they get on those Twitch drones alone. I don't know if we captured that. Oh, the beautiful bit of timing. Neskin, unfortunately, not going to be gifted that one. And again, we're getting this calm before the storm here. I know what push they want to do. They've set themselves up thinking that hookah is the play. But will that be the answer here, as the pinch push is clearly what they're indicating for? Okay.
Cameraman actually took the diffuser over to Aqua. No, he's gone back.
What a roller coaster ride.
Okay, he's back again.
All right.
Quick take. 50 seconds left. Sol's going to go big window. Good cover. It's going to rely on Cyber as Cameraman goes for this diffuse plan. There is a C4 on Lagonis. Alamau. None, I'm afraid. And Cameraman's going to get that diffuser down. Where is the denial? As suddenly, Team 1 find themselves with a man advantage, but they have to retake. And this is a strong post-plant position for FaZe as well. All they need to do is find the 4 kills here and lock in overtime. But Neskin's locking this one down. Neskin gonna hold it out. Neskin's gonna ninja defuse and send us to overtime. Team 1 with nerves of steel. Hold on.
There was 2 problems with that round there, James. Number 1, where was the plant denial? Where was the C4 below? Now, mind you, I didn't see any of the FaZe players pushing any of the players below, and maybe they had a drone to confirm if someone was there and someone would have dropped, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many what ifs in that situation. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt they weren't prepared. But then what was the post-plant plan there from FaZe? If someone of which they were clearly going to have to start defusing to bait out the peaks, who was there to peek? Where was the double window rappel? Obviously, players were dying left, right, and center. You needed a hookah door cover if someone was going to double window rappel. It's tricky. It definitely is. But they might have even been better off flooding the site post-plant there. Now as we move on to Kitchen, this is Team One's opportunity to be able to walk away with the win. They were looking down the barrel of another L here, but they've kept themselves just narrowly in this one with OT.
Overtime here, FaZe versus Team One. Now I am told by our lovely production that we are currently dancing on the A stream, so welcome if you have been watching the previous games on twitch.tv/Rainbow6. Welcome to FaZe versus Team One. These two Latin American teams vying for spots in the upper bracket of the playoffs, which give them a second life when it comes to those best of threes. Currently, Team One are ahead, but FaZe has played one less game, and they're looking for revenge for Team One's success over FaZe in the playoffs of their Brazilian Copa Elite 6. And FaZe are looking so good with their executes, but Team One has just pushed overtime. Now, Jess, Bullet is once again in with these Twitch drones. He's done so well with them, but he's just lost one.
They've been baiting these ones out. The trouble is there's no mirror for him to be able to scout out. Little does he know, and he's been able to get so many, as you rightfully pointed out. Big thing for me now is that FaZe are seemingly looking to do this top floor push. We've seen them try a couple of times and then fade away, peel away from that, and go for that service entrance instead. And as Cyber takes up position behind the palm tree to get a really extended long angle onto this player, I believe it's the Goyo of Levy. He's going to toss out a C4, and instead, if the C4 doesn't do it, the Vector will. And they're not able to refrag this one just yet, but if they do, they need to push in together because Levy, he hasn't missed.
He's keen for more, gets aggressive. Cameraman though may well spot him, doesn't matter. That's a big pick for Levy. Cameraman has been on fire this game, and now he's gonna have to sit on cams. 5 versus 3 now for Team One, and their defense starts to breathe to life.
Recovered the diffuser.
Good drone there to spot out that mute as well. When you're down a couple of members, really helpful to try and get an easy pick or two rather than putting yourself in a precarious plant situation when you know you're going to be at multiple numbers disadvantage. Cameraman, one of the biggest hitters from the side of FaZe, is down and out, and those opportunity to smoke off is still available for Bullet, and that's something that we know FaZe likes to do, block those lines of sights expertly. And maybe Bullet will have an opportunity, but not a single member of Team One is in a bad position at the moment, which means that they've been able to keep their life. And with just under a minute left now, James, they're going to have to use the rest of their utility to try and bite back something. But again, Team One, they're just playing the time ticket on this one.
We know FaZe are good at their executes. We know their strategies are innovative, but can they work off the cuff? This 3 versus 5 is now a 2 versus 2 as Cyber gets into it as well. We're leaning on Cyber and Souls to take match point for FaZe. Levy finished off. He was downed and now he's out. KDS holding down the line, but Cyber wants to get that diffuser planted, pushes deep, and starts to get that diffuser down. Souls is there and ready. That C4 shot out. Perfect coverage, but this SMG-11 has such a small magazine. He's going to have to push forward as Lagonis finds one. It'll need to be the clutch, but Team One with the retake. They have it, and along with that, match points for Team One.
What looked like it would be a FaZe game is now slowly being thrown into the hands of Team One. Hate to put it this way, ladies and gentlemen, but last time FaZe and Team One went head-to-head on this map, Team One walked away with the win. Albeit it wasn't overtime, it was far more convincingly, and clearly FaZe have cleaned up their act here, as we're seeing. But unfortunately not enough. And if they wanted revenge, they are going to have to put the next 2 rounds in a row on the board, or they walk away with nothing. Doesn't matter how hard you try, doesn't matter if you make overtime. A win's a win and a loss is a loss.
FaZe, they couldn't get it done on their attacks. That smoke ban, I like the idea. Try to counter Alamau, and he hasn't had the greatest game, but he's now on the buck. This is where he lives. This is how he breathes, and this is what he loves. And Team One have the match point. It's been a damn long time since they were on their attacks, and while they did struggle, they still managed 3 of them. It always came down to those late pushes, but they somehow seem to always pull them out. That's the difference between these teams, right?
Yeah.
FaZe is all strategy, all flashy plays, but when things aren't going their way, when they have to fight back from a deficit and play off the script, that's when FaZe struggle, and that's where Team One flourish.
2 completely different sub-metas inside of the same region. That's what you like to see.
10 seconds.
And the attacking side on Coastline is a bit of a precarious one. That's something that a lot of people, why they don't particularly like playing Coastline, but why they don't particularly like watching Coastline. Is there's no rhyme or rhythm to these types of things, unfortunately. And as a result now, for Team One, they're hoping they can keep that unpredictability high. They can walk away with both flawless rounds here in the overtime. That would be a line in hand for Levy. He's been playing a lot of that Nomad, but instead he feels that locking out a couple of these FaZe players will do them better.
Yeah, well, with Team One's explosive executes, perhaps the Lions' Roar will assist. An early game now, early round I should say, as Team One start to just tease map control away from FaZe. And FaZe, they were mixed on their defense. Sometimes they really like to go for those aggressive plays, and sometimes they were happy to sit everyone on site. Good throw from Lagonis. That Selma will enable a long line of sight all the way from VIP into Drinks and help cut off that eventual play that no doubt one of these defenders will make to deny the plant.
Well, we saw Team One struggling to provide that C4 and vertical denial on their defense, whereas FaZe, look how many C4s are in hand. They've got 4 to work with. If they can't deny a plant, no one can. And of course, that's exactly what they'll be hoping to do. It does look like Team One are setting up to be able to take 90 control, maybe then luggaging over into Aqua and then possibly get a plant down. And that's why Alamau is scouting over towards Aqua at current. And because they have forgone that Nomad, it means someone has to actively watch the flank, either on a drone or, you know, face check it. And as a result, that's going to slow them down even further. But they've made good time. There goes one of those C4s, but that will be a miss. And now they know that there is a problem below. There's at least one C4. They can't guarantee whether or not anyone else will rotate, but that has been a risk so far.
Team One always measure twice, cut once, but their executes tend to be late, which means that if FaZe can deny that plant vertically, things will be very difficult for the attack. Team One start to set up. That nade's going to take out that mute jammer, which allows the Selmas to detonate. That suddenly changes the situation for Cameraman, who gets aggressive on the side. The Lion locks him in place. 40 seconds remain on the clock here on match point for Team One as they start to shape up their attack. It's still a 5 versus 5, and FaZe are holding on with no smoke to deny this plant. They're relying on the C4s and the plays. That's a bait from Cameraman, and it makes a kill. And suddenly, Team One have to recompose. Lagonis has the diffuser in hand. 20 seconds left, and Team One still have the match point, but Cameraman's not going to let it happen. He starts to burn, and he's taken down. The flames finish him off, and Team One start this plant. That's the C4! 3 players left for Team One, but there's no way they can make this work without a miracle! And another boom takes them down. FaZe Clan push us all the way to round 15.
C4 after C4. That's why you bring 4 of them for good measure. If the first one misses, no problems. We have multiple pieces of redundancy to work with. And that was brilliant. You were just speaking the round before about the difference in playstyle on Coastline between Team One on their attacks and FaZe on their attacks. Well, it's seemingly also very present on their defenses. FaZe just knew exactly how to deny that plant time after time after time. And that plant would have absolutely gone down without all of those C4s, without a doubt in my mind. And in a post-plant situation, I am absolutely certain Team One might have been able to walk away with that. So for me right now, FaZe plays that perfectly. They go into this round knowing they played that round perfectly and then are on yet another attack where we've seen them do some really, really cool things. Who do I think is going to win? It's a tough one. There's no Glaz.
We are so lucky with how close these games have been.
Honestly. You and I have gone to a lot of OTs as of late.
Yeah, I feel like how many times have I casted and they go to overtime? I have no idea. It's just every single game.
Oh no, and I'm 90% gone with my voice as of current. I wouldn't be surprised if we get to the end of the groups and I can't speak anymore. But it's all worth it.
Team chess.
Of course. You know, if you can't work through a little bit of sickness, then I don't know. I was gonna say you're not a good caster, but then I don't want to promote lack of health. If you're unwell, get better.
Yeah, good tip. Alamau, nice aggressive peek from Astro balcony, but sorry, from Aqua balcony, but doesn't get anything for it. And Cyber starts to shape up. Soul's taking control of Sunrise. Now this is a hookah attack for the FaZe boys, and they did statistically struggle with these, with the exception of that one time they did the Glaz strat. Now they've changed things up. No Glaz, cameraman over on the Lion though, which is a first.
Oh, I'm just sitting here with bated breath. I know you want me to analyze this, James, but I am honestly trying to work out exactly what FaZe is trying to do here. Diffuser gets dropped on the Aqua Balk. And first EE1D will ring out. They don't net anything because of it, but maybe they're just spotting something out. Maybe they're trying to work out exactly what they're going to do. And the biggest thing for me that FaZe has done right is bait out C4s. There is 2 on the side of Team 1, not 4 like FaZe had on their round. And if they can bait them both out, they can be almost assured that nothing will stop them from getting the plant down. And they've been really good at holding those verticals underneath as well. A couple of wasted E1Ds. Maybe this is why cameraman doesn't usually play him, because let's be honest, they haven't been able to net a single inch of damage as a result of any of them ringing out. But a lot of drones have spotted out KDS and no one's really acted on it. I think everyone's afraid it's the very last round here, James.
FaZe trying not to take too much map control. They're focusing on the objective at hand rather than taking all the way across. There's the final E1D. A minute still left on the clock. Plant's going down. And FaZe may have just stolen this. Team 1 has no response. That C4 is far too late. Flawless for the FaZe clan as they punch themselves up the standings and into the upper bracket for playoffs.